This is Half Past Paper week 17 foundation tier. So we've got all the odd numbers this week and there are exactly 40 marks. So exactly half a past paper. All the odd numbers we'll do this week and then all the even numbers of the same paper we will do next week. This is a calculator paper. So let's get into it. Question number 1, change 300 centimetres into metres. So we know that 100 centimetres is 1 metre. 1 metre is 100 centimetres. Cent, like century or cents in a euro, means 100. So 100 centimetres is a metre. 300 centimetres is 3 metres. Question number 3, write 40% as a fraction. So percent means out of 100. So if you are given 40%, then we know that is 40 out of 100, and that's absolutely fine as your answer. It's only a 1 mark question, so you don't need to simplify it, but if you did, that's absolutely fine as well. So you might choose to write that as 4/10, and you might also choose to write that as 2/5. Either way, any of those answers would be absolutely fine for 1 mark. Question number 5, write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. So for ordering negatives, we need to think about a number line, and the smallest is going to be the most into the negative, so the most down here. So let's pop them all on a number line. I've got -6 down here, and then I've got -4, -3, 0 is there, 1, 2, and 7, which would be up here. So that's your order, going from the smallest, which is the most negative, up to the biggest, which is the most positive. So I've got -6, -4, -3, 0, 1, 2, and 7. And always just double check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers in the question, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers in your answer. The worst thing you could do is miss one out, get it all right and miss one out and lose that mark. So make sure you've got them all. Question number 7, what fraction of the shape is shaded? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 that are shaded. Out of, now I know there are 16 here because I've got 4 boxes going across and 4 boxes going down, but you could just count them. So 12 out of 16 is going to get me 1 mark, but it does then say give your answer in its simplest form. So we're looking what times table are both of those numbers in, what's the highest common factor, and that's going to be 4. So I'm going to divide the top by 4 and divide the bottom by 4, and that leaves me with 3/4. So 3/4 would be the answer needed there for 2 marks. This would get you 1 mark and this would get you the 2nd mark. Question number 9a, work out the value of 300 divided by 2 times 5. Now we're going to do the 2 times 5 bit here first because we're dividing by all of that. We need to know what that is first. So it's going to be 300 divided by 10. And that is going to be 30. So 30 is your answer for that one. When we divide by 10, all the numbers move 1 place value over to the right. So 300 divided by 10 is 30. And then for B, we've got to work out the value of this. Now I'm going to work out the value of each bracket first. And then what this means is everything in this bracket is being multiplied by everything in this bracket. So 6 take away 2.5 is going to be 3.5. And we're going to times that by 8 add 4, which is 12. So 3.5 times by 12. And don't forget, this is a calculator paper, so you're absolutely fine to type that in your calculator, and that would be 42 for that question. So 3.5 times by 12, lovely. For question C, it says write down the reciprocal of 20. So let's just do some examples here. The reciprocal of 2 is a half. The reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. The reciprocal of 2/7 would be 7/2. The reciprocal of a quarter would be 4/1, which is just 4. So when you've got an integer like this, it just becomes 1/. So write down the reciprocal of 20. It's like we're inverting it. 20 is 20/1. So if we're inverting that, the reciprocal of 20 would be 1/20. The reciprocal of 5 would be 1/5, and so on. So reciprocal just means inverting it. It's what you'd need to times the number by to make 1. But there we go. A lot of students just find it helpful to remember to flip it. Question number 11. PQRS is a quadrilateral and PST is a straight line. Find the value of y. So the first thing we need to know here is that angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360. So you know that the angles in a triangle add up to 180. degrees, and the angles in a quadrilateral, a four-sided shape, add up to 360. And every time you add a side, you add another 180 degrees. So here we've got a four-sided shape, a quadrilateral, and so I know that whatever this angle is here, these four angles, this one, this one, this one and this one, would add together to make 360. So let's add up what we've got so far. 130, add 65, add 95. I'm just going to use my calculator because we can. 130, add 65, add 95, and that adds up to 290. I'm then going to take that away from 360 because we know that all four angles in a quadrilateral need to add up to 360, and that is 70 degrees. So therefore I know the missing angle here has to be 70 degrees. Now for your next step, I know that angles on a straight line add up to 180. So if this angle is 70, this angle must be whatever adds with that to make 180. Ignore this guy, okay? That is not, I know it's on the same line, but it's not at the same point. So it's only angles at a point that add 180 on a line rather than just any angles along it. So I've got 70. I'm going to take that away from 180. 180 take away 70 is 110 degrees. So there we go. 110 degrees is your answer for Y. We won't ask to give any reasons there, so that's absolutely fine. 110 degrees would get you 3 marks. Perfect. Question number 13. Work out the perimeter of this shape. So the perimeter is the distance all the way around the outside. So I need to do this, add this, add this, add this, add this, add this, all the way around, okay? So first things first, let's work out any missing lengths. This bit here, what would this be? Now we can see over here that the whole shape is 7 centimetres tall altogether. And if this bit is 5 from here down to here, then I must have 2 left so that adds up to make 7. 5 add 2 would make a total height of 7. So there we go, we've got 2 left over for that bit there. And then what about the missing length here? So this bit, what would that be? Well, we can see that it's 10 all the way across, and this bit is 4. So we must have 6 left, and so this bit here is 6 centimetres so that it adds up to make 10 all the way across. Now all we need to do is add all of that together. Now with perimeter, I do like to make a little mark for my starting point because I think it's really easy when you're adding lots of numbers together to forget where you started. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go round. So I'm going to do 4, add 5, add 6, add 2, add 10, add 7. And I'm going to just use my calculator to add all of those together. So 4, add 5, add 6, add 2, add 10, add 7 is 34 centimetres. And that was it. 34 centimetres was the distance all the way around the shape, the perimeter. Question number 15. Here are the costs of some same type of batteries in 2 shops. So I've got shop A and I've got shop B. In shop A I can buy a pack of 4 batteries for £1.60. And in shop B, I can buy a pack of 6 batteries for £2.70. Harry needs to buy at least 30 batteries. Now, as an examiner, when I mark these questions, sometimes it's really hard to see what students are doing. So I would really recommend laying out your working like this. When you've got a comparison between 2 shops or a comparison between 2 products, it's nice and easy to lay it out like this. So if Harry's buying 30 batteries, and in shop A, it's a pack of 4 batteries that cost £1.60. How many packs am I going to need to buy? Well, 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. Now, he's assuming that he has to buy batteries in whole packs, which is always what we should assume. You can't walk into Tesco and say, I'd like 7 packs, but I'm going to chop this pack in 2, please, so I can have half a pack. You can't do that. So he's going to need to buy 8 packs. So 8 packs would be 8 times £1.60, because we're told in the question that's how much they cost. So £1.60 times by 8 is £12.80. So that's how much it's going to cost if he buys his batteries from shop A. For shop B, it's a pack of 6 batteries that costs £2.70. So I'm going to do 30 divided by 6, which is 5. So he needs to buy 5 packs if he goes to shop B. So therefore we're going to do 5 times £2.70. 5 lots of £2.70 is going to be £13.50. There we go. So where are we going to buy the batteries from? So always with these questions, you need to answer their question. Which shop should he buy the batteries from? Shop A or shop B? Well, we can see that shop A is cheaper. So he should buy from shop A as cheaper. There we go. Harry's assumption is wrong. He can buy single batteries for 40p each in shop A and 45p each in shop B. Does this affect which of the two shops Harry should buy the batteries from? Well, we bought exactly 30 batteries in shop B. So this was for 30 batteries. And with, batteries, yeah. And then with shop A, we actually bought extra batteries here. So we actually bought 8 packets of 4, which was 32 batteries. So it wouldn't really make a difference because with shop B, I can't get it any cheaper. I still need to buy 30 batteries, so I wouldn't want to buy any single batteries anyway. But with shop A, yeah, okay, I could have bought less batteries. It would have been 40p less for each of those extra 2 batteries, so it would have cost £12. But shop A was already the cheapest. So does this affect which of the two shops Harry should buy the batteries from? No, as shop A would have then been even cheaper. So we'd have still bought from shop A. There we go, even cheaper. Perfect. Question number 17. Draw accurately an isosceles triangle with lengths of 8, 6 and 6. One side of a triangle has been drawn for you. Now, this is impossible for me to do on a protractor, so I'm just going to explain to you what you would need to do. You're going to need to get your ruler, and you're going to want to measure from 0 to 6 centimetres. So getting your ruler like that, you've already got the triangle side of 8 centimetres drawn. So we need to draw a side of 6 and a side of 6. And you're going to get your compass, that stabby thing that you probably have in your pencil case and have rarely used. So that thing that looks like that, and it's got a stabby end, and it's probably got an end with a pencil like that. Okay, and you're going to measure it so that it is exactly 6 centimetres wide. You're then going to put the stabby bit here and draw an arc that is 6 centimetres away from this point. And then because the other side is also 6 centimetres, you're going to do exactly the same on this side. And where those two arcs cross, that tells you where you need to draw your triangle. So you're then just going to get a straight line and meet at that point, if that makes sense. And that would be your triangle. You'd know that that side is exactly 6 centimetres because you've done an arc that is 6 centimetres away, and same with that side there. So that's how you do it. Measure your compass to be 6 centimetres wide, do an arc from each of the 2 points, and then you can connect it up. But yeah, sorry for my terrible artwork on that one. Question number 19. Here are the types of sandwiches sold in a cafe last week. So we've got tuna, cheese, chicken and egg. 56 tuna sandwiches were sold. And this was 40% of the total number of sandwiches. So 56 is equal to 40%. That's not all of the sandwiches, that's 40% of the sandwiches that were sold. Now, normally, we've got to work out the total number of sandwiches sold. It's always a good idea, if you can, to work out 10%. 10% is a great amount to get. So how would I get to 10%? Well, normally we'd divide by 10, but that would be if you had 100% to begin with. We don't have 100%, we've got 40%. So if you want to go from 40% to 10%, we actually only need to divide by 4. Therefore, I'm also going to divide this side by 4. 56 divided by 4 is 14. So 14 sandwiches represents 10%. And if 14 sandwiches is 10%, then we can get 100% of the sandwiches by timesing by 10. And if we also times this side by 10, that would be 140 sandwiches. So work out total number of sandwiches sold, it's going to be 140. Of the 56 tuna sandwiches sold, 18 were sold on Friday. Write 18 as a percentage of 56. Give your answer correct to the nearest whole number. So 18 out of 56. If I type it in my calculator like that, I'm going to get it as a decimal. And that's fine, but we then need to times that by 100 to get it as a percentage. So in my calculator, I'm typing that. I'm going to use the fraction button in my calculator, but you could do it in 2 stages if you want. you could just do 18 divided by 56, and then whatever answer you get for that, just times it by 100, and you should get 32.142857. And I've got recurring dots on that, and all that means is that it's 32.142857, 142857, 142857, and so on. But it just wants it correct to the nearest whole number, and because that first digit there is a 1, it's going to round down, so 32% would be my answer for that. Okay, question number 21. Malik is going to throw a fair coin 50 times. Write down an estimate for the number of times the coin will land on heads. So if we're going to throw a coin 50 times, we're expecting it to land heads half the time and tails half the times. So 50 times 0.5 would be 25 times. You don't need to show any work in there, it's just one mark. 25 would get you the mark there. Paula and Simon are trying to find out if a different coin is biased, so if it's fair or not. Paula throws this coin 10 times. She records the number of times the coin lands on heads. Simon throws the same coin 100 times, and he records the number of times the coin lands on heads. Whose results will be more useful in deciding if the coin is biased? Give a reason for your answer. So if we're going to test a coin to see if it's fair, the best way to do that is to do it as many times as possible. So whose results are we going to trust more? Well, Paula, it could land, 7 times on heads and 3 times on tails. And that could be perfectly normal. Even 8 and 2, it's not completely crazy. But if we throw it 100 times, we're going to be far more likely to spot if something is wrong. So we're going to trust Simon because he did more trials is the best way of writing that mathematically. He did more trials, or you could say he did it more times. But ultimately, the more times you do something, the more we're going to trust the data. Okay, question number 23, and this was the start of the higher paper now. Simplify n cubed times n to the power of 5. Now when we times, we add the powers. This is n times 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 n. So altogether, n to the power of 8. For question part B, we're dividing, so we're going to take away the powers. If you've got c cubed divided by c squared, we're going to do 3 take away 2, which is 1. So it's going to be c to the power of 1, which we just write as a c. If you do put the power of 1, that's absolutely fine. You're not going to lose any marks for that. And we also need to do d to the power of 4 divided by d. Now remember, if it's just a d on its own, it's the same as d to the power of 1. And 4 take away 1 is 3. So this is c and then d cubed, because I've got 4 take away 1 for the d. That cubed is only affecting that. If I wanted to cube everything, I'd have to write it like that. So that's absolutely fine. C, d cubed, like that is absolutely fine. Part C, and we're solving an inequality. Now remember, what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. I like to put a dotted line where either the equals or the inequality symbol is. First thing we're going to do to both sides is get rid of this fraction. The fact that it's dividing by 2 is a little bit annoying, so let's get rid of that. And we're going to do that by timesing both sides by 2. We're always doing the inverse operation. Now that gets rid of that on the left, so we're just left with 5x. And on the right-hand side, it becomes 14. Now 5 lots of x is bigger than 14. So what about getting that x on its own? And we're going to do that by dividing both sides by 5. So x is greater than, now don't forget you've got a calculator here, so you can just use your calculator, and 14 divided by 5 is 2.8. Now you're absolutely fine to write it as 14 over 5 if you want to, or you can write it as x is greater than 2.8, but either of those is absolutely fine. Don't forget to put this bit on the answer line as well, because it's really important to say if it's bigger than that or smaller than that or whatever it is, but in this case x is bigger than 2.8. Question number 25. A number m is rounded to 1 decimal place. The result is 9.4. Complete the error interval. So an error interval is just saying what is the biggest and the smallest it could have been for it to have rounded to 9.4. Now the smallest it could have been, remember it didn't round to 9.3, didn't round to 9.2, so the smallest it could have been is 9.35. Anything smaller than that and it would have rounded down to 9.3 or down to whatever it was closest to. 9.36, 9.37, that all rounds to 9.4, so that's good. The biggest it could be is 9.4999999. So what we do is we just say 9.45, And then see here, this symbol doesn't have an equal to. So it can't actually equal it, but we can go up to it. And that's why we say it can go up to 9.45. So we rounded to the nearest one decimal place. It was the nearest 0.1. You always half that number. And so that's 0.05 above and 0.05 below. And that's why we popped that there and that there. Good, so that's the smallest and the biggest it could have been to round to 9.4. Question number 27. Amanda has 2 fair 3-sided spinners. Amanda spins each spinner once. Complete the probability tree diagram. So with spinner A, that's this one here, what's the probability of landing on a 2? Well, looking at spinner A, that's 1 section out of 3. The probability of not landing on a 2 are the other 2 sections out of 3. For spinner B, and we've got to do spinner B for here and spinner B for here. That doesn't mean we're spinning it twice. It just means that if we come up this pathway, we're going to spin spinner B. And if we come down this pathway, we're going to spin spinner B. So it's just having somewhere to put the options. So spinner B, what's the chance of landing on a 2? Again, just 1 out of 3. And not landing on a 2 would be 2 out of 3. 1 out of 3 is your chance of landing on a 2, and 2 out of 3 is your chance of not landing on a 2. Part B says work out the probability that spinner A lands on a 2 and spinner B does not land on a 2. So what pathway is that? We've got 4 pathways here. Either spinner A lands on a 2 and spinner B lands on a 2, or spinner A lands on a 2 and spinner B doesn't, or spinner A doesn't land on a 2 and spinner B does, or neither of them land on a 2. Those are the 4 different pathways. They're asking us, what if spinner A lands on a 2, so we want to go up this pathway, and then spinner B doesn't. So if that's the pathway you want, you times along the branches. If you wanted more than one pathway, you'd add the answers together at the end, but we always times along the branches. So 1 over 3 times 2 over 3, and remember multiplying fractions, we're just going to do the top times the top, and the bottom times the bottom, so that's going to be 2 over 9 as your final answer. If it did simplify, you wouldn't need to simplify it. It doesn't say give your answer in its simplest form, and probability, we don't really care about simplifying it. That's all good. 2 over 9. And question number 29, last question. The diagram shows a solid triangular prism. The prism is made from wood with a density of 0.8 grams per centimetres cubed. As soon as I see that word density, I'm going to draw our formula triangle. Density, mass, volume. Density, mass, volume, okay? So we've got the density. That's 0.8 grams per centimetres cubed. I want to know the mass, that's what we're trying to work out. So I need to know the volume. Now to get the volume of this shape, it's a prism, so we're going to do the area of the end, the area of the cross section, times by how long it is. So what is the area of that triangle? Well, we need to do base times height divided by 2. So 4 times 6 is 24, divided by 2 is 12. So the area of this triangle is 12 centimetres squared. To then get the volume of the shape, we need to times that by how far back it goes. So 12 times 10 is 120 centimetres cubed. That is your volume. So I divided by 2 here because the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2, okay? Volume's 120, so now let's look at that formula triangle. If I want the mass, I need to do density multiplied by volume. So that's 0.8, they've told me that's the density, and we're going to times that by the volume, which is 120. 0.8 times 120 is 96, and that's going to be in grams. 96 grams. Always with these triangles, your units match up. So your volume was in centimetres cubed, your density was in grams per centimetres cubed, therefore your mass would be in grams, and all those units come together. There we go then, 96 grams is your answer for 3 marks, and that is the end of this week's paper. So all the even numbers I will do next week, week 18 next week. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions about any of the questions that we've gone through today, and I would be happy to help, and I will see you guys next week.